A Reel Augie 3025 made by Knight. And you can see it was shifted forward and off the pad. All right, welcome back. I will give you a barn update in a few minutes, but before that I want to talk to you about what our next upcoming plans are and how we're going to accomplish things. Went out and purchased something today I think is going to be really helpful. I think. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so if you've watched some of our older videos, you know that we're putting in blueberries, and in order to get them to grow properly, you got to have the right pH. So we've been putting in the pine bark mulch, has a low pH, so they grow. And that has been taking forever because we're doing it one tractor bucket at a time, and it's just a lot of work. So I had a brainwave, and I thought if there was some sort of piece of farm equipment that could help, like meter out the bark mulch on a much bigger scale. Let's see if I can find something like that. And that is what I just picked up today. So this is called a Reel Augie, and what it is not what we're going to use it for, but it is like a feed bin. So if you were to have a cattle operation where you were feeding grain to your cattle or chopped up haylage or whatever, it's a big old hopper here, and then on the side it has a chute. This chute tips down, and then you would pull this along behind the tractor and it would auger out, meter out cow feed into the bin, into the feed bin. If there was, let's say there was a big trough here, all the way down, big trough. So this was pretty cheap. I don't know if it works. They'd never used it. Someone bought it at an auction and then was just flipping it. So, but it was pretty cheap. I didn't have to throw a lot of money at it. So we're gonna give it a try. It's very rusty, but we're not using it for feed, so don't really care. And there's not a lot to it. It's a couple of hydraulic lines and a PTO. So I'm hoping it's gonna work, and if whatever repairs it might need are pretty minor. And this would hold a lot. It's actually a lot bigger and way heavier than I thought it was going to be. So we didn't have to go very far. It was only about 35 miles. Wasn't too bad. I don't know what this thing weighs. Probably 8,000 pounds. So it was a nice low tow. Thankfully the truck doesn't have any problems with that. But we're going to try to get this off of the trailer now. Not 100% certain how we're going to do that, especially since how it's so heavy. But we're, it's going to use the skid steer. I don't know if we'll need the skid steer and the excavator, but it'll be a little bit of teamwork and going slow, being cautious. We'll get it off of here, and then we'll just get it parked off to the side here. We probably won't be using this for several weeks yet. But that's the plan anyway. So I think this, if it works, this will save us a ton of time, because it took, well, we could do like one row in an hour with the pine bark mulch. And even then, if we needed more, it's just, so let's say at least an hour, and 50 rows, it's 50 hours. If this thing works, we could probably put enough bark mulch in here for 2 rows and get it done in, let's say, 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes most. And that's, that just is less fuel and less time. And this thing, like I said, we didn't pay much for it, so it would pay itself back really quickly. It's kind of a one-time use tool, so once we were done with it, we wouldn't need it anymore, and then maybe be able to liquidate it for what we paid for it, or slightly less. But that's the plan anyway. It's really rusty, but it's still pretty solid, and because we're not using it for feed, the rust really doesn't matter. So all right, we're gonna try to get this thing off the trailer I'll try to film that. We'll see how it goes. Okay, here's plan A. This is the first setup. So we got the excavator. Got it hooked up with a web sling around the front. That can't move. So we're going to lift the front and then try to back it off. My only concern is this kind of heavy. The excavator's heavy, but if you get, you know, obviously too far out, you can tip. I probably should have spun it around so the blade was in the back because it gives the extra leverage. But we'll see how it goes. If it is too tippy this way, I'll try spinning around so the blade's in the back, and we'll try that out. And we'll see how it goes. Well, all right. I think that went way better than I could have hoped for. It was really smooth and no one got hurt. That's pretty good. That's a good day around here. So I'm going to put the leg on that and then I'll actually climb up top and I'll show you how it works. All right, here we are up on top of it, and you can see it's a big hopper, and it has this big paddle, and that paddle push mixes. So if you put a bunch of stuff in here, you can mix it first. If you're putting, you know, your feed, you could mix your feed up, and then it pushes it up over here to where these two augers spin it up to the chute, and the chute is right down there. It's hard to see, but the chute is right there, and that door opens up, and when the door opens up, then it goes out from there. And this would be down, and it also has augers on it. You can see that. And those augers feed it out into the trough. So the idea is use it the exact same way, but instead put the mulch in there, and instead of feeding it out into a trough, it's going to feed it out into the row. And we can meter it out by just however fast we run it, however fast we pull it behind the tractor. So it was worth a little bit of money to throw at it. There's not a lot to it, so it doesn't need, there was a lot of rust in there, I know, but there's not a lot to it, so it should still function. I mean, the hydraulic hoses even look pretty good. They're not in that rough a shape, so. I'd like to put it on the smaller tractor. Smaller tractor doesn't have a hitch, so I got to figure that out. I got to get a hitch on the back of that thing, because it also would be easier to run that big batwing mower on the back of that tractor as well. But yeah, it doesn't have just a regular hitch. It needs a regular hitch. So yeah, that's it. It's called an Augie. A Reel Augie 3025, made by Knight. And yeah, this is not the actual use case. The guy I bought it from said the last time, he hasn't sold one in a really long time, but the last time he sold one, which was years ago, the guy he sold it to was using it for the exact same thing that we're going to use it for. So not the first person to come up with this idea. I mean, it was organic. No one told me about it. I like to think that was kind of a smart idea on my part, but obviously other people thought the same thing. So we'll see how it works. It's going to sit here for a bit. You know, we're still trying to get into farm mode with having a baby. And most of our work for the barn is done for now. We do still have, I'll show you in a second, we do still have some dirt work to do. I know I said we were all done, but we're not, of course. And there's a little bit more to do. So let's switch to doing a barn update, and then we'll wrap this video up. Okay, here we are at the end of week 2, and the entire structure is up and framed except for the back shed roof. But the side sheds are on, all the trusses are up, all the purlins for the roof are up, and it's starting to actually look like something. So the reason we need to do more dirt work is because at the very last minute we changed the dimensions of the building. Talking amongst ourselves, Liz and I, we decided that we wanted to put that extra 12-foot shed roof on the back as well. So basically it wraps all the way around 3 sides, not in the front where the doors are, but wraps around all the way. And it made more sense to do it now than to, you know, change our minds later and retrofit. So we added 12 feet, and we didn't make the pad any bigger, so the building had to be shifted forward. And you can see it was shifted forward and off the pad. And then because we shifted it forward, there was a squishy spot right here, and the builder didn't want to put it in the squishy spot, so we shifted it this way as well. And so it's been shifted that way. So we need to come through and build up the dirt through here, all the way along the front. And then, not a lot actually, down the side, but, you know, around the corner here. And then just a little bit down the side, because this is actually already still really good. And the whole idea of shifting it forward is that this was the short side. If we shifted it back, that's 5 foot of dirt all the way across, and that's a lot of dirt. and that would have taken a lot of work. But by shifting it forward, we're only talking about like, oh, I don't know, in this front corner it might be a foot, and then down there it's probably 2 foot. So come through and, you know, scrape off the grass and the little bit of topsoil that's here. So that'll probably add 6 inches of dirt. I've already dug out a lot of the dirt sitting in a pile over here. We can move it with the skid steer. I think that's probably going to be the easiest. There's not a lot of room left over here to maneuver with the truck and the dump trailer, so it'll take a little longer, but it's a pretty short commute with the skid steer. It's right there, and it's not an astronomical amount of dirt. I'm not going to try to guess because I've been wrong every single video that I've made about this when I guess completely wrong. So but yeah, really excited. So this is the main portion of the building. This is the actual indoor portion of the building. It's 40 this way and 60 this way. And then these are 12-foot sheds on each side. There's one on the other side, and then the same along the back. I think we might have pointed this out in the last video, but it's a little easier to see now because now we have the roof trusses up everywhere, and it's a little easier to imagine. And so what we're gonna do, my builder is always thinking, which is good because he does these things all the time, and it's easier to do stuff when you're doing the initial build than it is to try to retrofit later. So what we're gonna do is down here, this is actually the outdoor portion. So the shed roof off the back of the building here, they haven't put up these trusses yet. They're gonna put them up on Monday. So he's working on Labor Day. God bless him. But we're actually gonna enclose, this portion of the porch to be in the interior of the building. And the same on this side. We're gonna enclose this part as well to be the interior of the building to give us a little more space inside. And then that 20 feet in the middle is going to be the patio. And the reason I say patio is because we are going to build out the back 20 feet of this plus those 2 little bump outs, so it'll be that's 1,000 square feet, so 20 by 40 plus the 10 by 10s. 1,000 square feet. We're gonna build it out like a Barndominium, so we need some place to live while we're getting the house done, because we won't be able to live in the house because it's gonna, well, they got to take the whole roof off and build it. It's just, there's no way we'd be able to live in the house while we were getting it redone. So once this is done, our focus is going to shift a little. We'll be putting in the blueberries, but we can delay that. We've decided to go with some more mature plants to speed up the timeline on the blueberry patch. It cost a little bit more money, not actually a whole lot more money, but a little bit more money. We need to get to a point where this farm has revenue, and right now it doesn't have any revenue, so it does need to start paying for itself. And so we're going to delay that just a touch. We're going to clean that all up and get it in good shape and ready to go for planting blueberries, but delay planting the blueberries probably until the spring. I know I wanted to do it in the fall, but now we're going to do it in the spring. I want to make sure everything is set, ready to go. And this is part of my whole, like, being more deliberate and not rushing with things now that this barn is done or getting done, is to slow down a little bit and not try to cram. So we're just so busy. It's gotten a little unbearable, especially with having a baby. It gives you a lot more perspective on what's important, not just on what's important, but how much time you can actually manage in any given day. So we're really excited about this. Yeah, it's going to be 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, kitchen, living room, dining area, and then we're going to have a sleeping loft in the back with probably two queen-size beds up there. So basically 4 bedrooms with 1 bathroom, but it's really kind of temporary, and which is fine. You know, how many bedrooms and bathrooms do you need? There's not that many of us. And then when we aren't living in here anymore, it'll switch to being office space. We can use this kitchen for food products to sell at the farm store, because in order to meet the hygiene requirements, there's a lot of things that farmers are able to do that, you know, they don't have to be as rigorous to sell, like cakes and pies and stuff, muffins like that. But one of the very strict rules is it can't be a kitchen that any animals have access to. So we have dogs, so you can't use the kitchen in your house if the dogs live in there. If the dogs ever come in your house, that is actually, it's against the rules. I don't know how many people follow the rules, but we really want to try to follow the rules. So we'll have this kitchen here that we can use, that once we move into the main house, we'll no longer be using this as a place to live. And then if we have guests, to the extent that we don't have enough room in the main house, they can stay out here. Or if they just want to stay out here, because it'll be really, really nice out here. And just imagine what it's going to be like sitting on this porch. So it'll be 20 by 12, nice and big. And it's going to be completely covered, roof coming down. We're going to screen it in so we don't have to worry about the bugs. I have a couple ceiling fans up there, and it's just going to be really, really nice. Real nice place to stay and live. And the view, well, it looks like a disaster right now, but when that's all mowed up and cleaned up, that's actually really nice and secluded. Got these big old cedars right here, and it's just a nice little backfield tucked out of the way. So, pretty excited. That was a lot of talking, and probably not the most exciting video for you, but it's very exciting for us. We're really, really, really happy with the progress, and can't wait for this to be done and get out of the weather. That's going to be great. And so we'll start building that out, and you'll see some of that. Probably not all of it, but you'll see some of it as we go through there. I've done a lot of remodel work in the past, so shouldn't be too hard. You know, it's a box, and we're working in a new build, so it's really pretty easy. And Liz has helped me. We remodeled a house together, her and I, a few years ago, as a fun project before we got married, to see if we can get along, and we did. No arguing. It was great. Just kidding. That's not why we did it, but that was the result. We did get married, and we do get along really well. So that's the barn update. Next week, the roof will go on, and then the builder actually has to take a couple weeks off. He had another job prior to this that he couldn't finish because of the weather. The ground turned into soup, and he had to bail out, and he's got to go back and wrap that one up. So there'll be 2 weeks of no action at all on the barn from his perspective, and that it's really actually really good, because I was getting concerned with how I was going to fit in doing the dirt work, and I still have to do probably 5 or 6 trips to the quarry, and I don't even know if I can do that many in a day. And I was a little concerned about trying to get that all done in a week. So now I have 3 weeks to get that done. That doesn't mean I can, you know, dilly-dally and wait till the end. I still need to stay on top of it, but there it is. It's very exciting. So that's it for today and for this week. We're going to move some dirt. I don't think I'm going to, you guys, I've shown you so much dirt moving. I'm sure you're very sick of watching dirt get moved. So life's an adventure. Let's keep it that way.